Which chords should you learn first as a beginner guitarist? After having taught thousands of students in private lessons and at workshops, I've been able to identify 10 chords that I can guarantee are the most useful chords you should learn first. These are not only the best gateway chords to becoming a solid guitarist, but they are used so often that you will be able to jump right in and use them in many songs you enjoy, regardless of musical genre. Stick around to the end and I'll give you a couple of good chord progressions to work on to get your chords under your fingers right away. We are going to begin with C major, probably the most common guitar chord that you'll see. We begin by putting our third finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and then our second finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then our first finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. We're going to strum from the 5th string down. We're going to omit the 6th string. We don't use that at all in this chord. So we're going to start, this is actually the C note on the 5th string, 3rd fret. You will have some open strings here, the open 3rd string and the open 1st string. And it is tough to get those to ring out at first. This stands true for all the chords that we're going to do. You'll have open strings that are hard to get to ring pure because your fingers might be touching or rubbing up against them and muting them out, something like this. So it's important to play on your fingertips and get your fingers curled like this over and around the other strings. You don't want to play flat like this. You want to get up on your fingertips the best you can. That's the C chord. The next chord, the A minor, is very closely related to the C chord. In fact, you only need to pick up one finger to make the A minor chord if you're already on C, and that would be the 3rd finger. We're going to lift it up, move it down to the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and right there, that is the A minor chord from the 5th string down. The next chord might be the easiest chord to make, the E minor chord. We're going to take our 2 finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and our 3 finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, just like that. And this time we're going to play all 6 strings. The next chord is G major, and this chord is probably used about as much as C major. And when I say G major, if someone just says G or the chart that you're looking at just says G, G is the same as G major. We're going to start on the 6th string this time with our 2 finger. Then we put our 1 finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then we take our 3rd finger and we move it all the way down to the 3rd fret, 1st string. We strum all 6 strings. Now, you will see people make this chord in a couple of different ways. You'll see them put the ring finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and then add the pinky down here on the 3rd fret like that of the 1st string. It's the same chord, it just sounds a little fuller. And then you'll also see people use these fingers to make the first version that we made. And that's so they can use the pinky to quickly shift from something like G to C, like this. But the traditional way that you most often see the G chord is like this. A major begins on the 5th string, open, and then we're going to cram our index finger, our middle finger, and our ring finger all onto the 2nd fret on the 4th string, 3rd string, and 2nd string. 5th string down, and you'll hear the 1st string is ringing out. I should mention on the A major chord, you will see a lot of people play it like this with 1 finger. They're still playing those same 3 notes, but then they omit the 1st string because it would be a different chord if you were to hit that note with it. So you'd have to play from the 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings only. People do that because if you want to play something quick, it's easier to do that than to put all those fingers in that position. The D major is the first chord we're looking at that starts at the 4th string. So open 4th string, And then we're going to put our index finger, finger number 1, on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Our ring finger is going to go on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then our 2 finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Make sure you get on your fingertips because I know they're all crammed in there together. Next is the E major chord. We're going to go down here on the open 6th string and begin, and then 2 finger on the 2nd fret 5th string, 3 finger on the 2nd fret 4th string, and then index finger, the 1 finger, on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. We strum all 6 strings here. One of the most powerful sounding chords on the guitar, and that's why it's also used quite a bit. The D minor chord is our next chord, and it gets a little tricky, so I would once again remind you, get up on your fingertips to make sure you can get these notes. It begins on the 4th string open, and then we play the 2nd fret 3rd string with our 2 finger, the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with our 3rd finger, and then the 1st fret of the 1st string with our 1 finger. So all together. And you'll see I'm coming in at a little bit of an angle here as opposed to going straight at it like this and being parallel to the neck, which is good for single note playing. For chords, it's okay to angle into something if you need to do that so that you're not brushing up against another adjacent string and muting it out. So I definitely come in from a little bit of an angle there. The next chord is the F chord, and we enter the realm of bar chords. A bar chord is when you play 2 or more strings with 1 finger going across. So we're forming a little bar, as it were. With the F chord, we're going to begin on the 1st fret of the 1st and 2nd string, and I'm going to do it with my 1st finger like this and go across both of those strings. Then I add my 2 finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret and my 3 finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. Strum from the 4th string down. Now I rarely play the F chord this way. Typically I will play it as a full bar chord. Let me show you what that means. You bar across the entire 1st fret with your 1 finger like this, get a nice straight finger, and you want to hug the fret. You don't want to be way back behind the fret, you want to be right up on it. And then I put my 2 finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret, and then my 3rd finger on the 5th string 3rd fret, and the pinky on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. And I play all 6 strings that way. The reason I use that version more than the small version, you can hear it's the same chord. It is. We're using the same notes, we're just adding 2 more to it, and it's fuller. But the reason I tend to use that more is it just feels a little more solid to me and sounds better. It is a little more difficult than this one though. Neither one is a walk in the park, but you'll get them. B minor is the next chord. If I were to take that F chord that I just showed you, the full version, and drop all those notes 1 string like this, and then slide it up towards the body of the guitar by 1 fret, that is B minor. Let's identify the frets. 2nd fret, 5th string, 4th fret, 4th string, 4th fret, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 2nd string, and then 2nd fret, 1st string. So my bar goes across from the 5th string all the way to the 1st string. If I were to lift my fingers up, you'd hear this. Put my fingers back down, and you've got B minor. There you have the 10 most useful chords for a beginner guitarist to learn. Now anybody can sit down and fret a chord eventually if you give them enough time. They can make it happen. So the real work comes in changing chords, and that's what you should practice. How do you practice that? You need to start playing music or songs right away. You don't want to sit around and practice making the C chord and then take your fingers away and then make the C chord again. Don't worry about that. You need to go from the C chord to another chord, A minor or E minor, something different. You're getting your fingers going to the next shape because that's what music does. We want to practice it that way. Let's try playing a chord progression from some of the chords that you just learned. We're going to begin with C, A minor, E minor, and G. I'm going to play each chord as a whole note, in other words, 4 beats long, something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, join in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. The reason you want to practice them as whole notes, holding them for a lot longer like that instead of doing a fast strum pattern, is you want to give yourself a chance to change to the next chord on the first beat of the next measure. So if I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You'll notice that I'm picking up my hand on about beat 3 or 4, right in that range, and getting ready for the next chord, because it's more important to land on beat 1 of the next measure and get that next chord fretted than it is to hold down my fingers for all 4 beats of the measure. If you practice it that way, it will absolutely get you playing those chords quicker than you just sitting around and making the shapes of these chords. You need to play them with a pulse or a beat in mind, and you can do that with a metronome. Something that's much more fun and useful, I find, is just finding a drum beat on YouTube. You can pull up really slow drum beats, and even a beginner guitarist can sit there with 2 chords, C and A minor or C and E minor, something like that, and just play 4 beats of each chord and practice landing on beat number 1 of the next measure. It will make your progress go so much faster than you've probably ever experienced. Let's do another chord progression. This time we'll use B minor, E major, A major, and D major. If that sounds familiar, it might be because of just came to mind. But those chords are used in tons of songs. So it's definitely one of those things that when you're doing some of these chord progressions, you're going to hear songs that you've heard before, because yes, songs are comprised of 3 or 4 chords typically, and we use a lot of the same patterns over and over, and they just change the melody. Let's try the chords together. B minor, 2, 3, 4, E, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, B minor, 2, 3, 4, E, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you can't play along right now because the chords are completely brand new to you, that's totally understandable. But you'll have these charts on the video. You can just pause it and watch the chart and practice these 2 chord progressions that I've given you, because they will get you moving your hands from chord to chord, and they are used in tons of songs. In fact, the most songs, you're going to encounter these 10 chords, and you want to get these down first. And when I say get them down, I mean memorize them. You don't want to have to look at the charts to jog your memory. You want to memorize these 10 chords. It will save you a ton of time. And then when you're learning new music, you'll just look at the chord names and you won't have to look them up, and you'll be able to quickly pull them from your chord vocabulary located up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please make sure to hit the like button. It really does help the channel. Subscribe if you will, and if you do subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so you are aware of future releases. I've got lots coming soon, so I'll see you all next time.